we came up with some research objectives. Let me put them back on the board again as you repeat them to me. What are the research objectives? Huh? To profile the customer base. Yes. To determine the level of awareness. Yes. Of new mortgage plan. To do what? What was the other one? Of customers? Anything else? Those were the only three? Two. All right. What's the first thing I told you to do when you have a complete data set in front of you? What should you run? The basic test. All right? You should run the frequencies for the nominal questions. True? And you should run the means and the standard deviations for the interval or the ratio. I ain't teaching that about ordinal length. And I ain't putting the ordinal questions on your questionnaire that I can give you all to give out by tomorrow evening anyhow. If you want to find out how to analyze ordinal data, go and download the file off of eLearning and keep it with you. You may need it in the future. All right? So print it off and keep it. All right? Yeah. Okay. So I want you to identify for me the questions that are nominal, please. Which of those questions are nominally scaled? Wait till everybody has it in front of them. You have to go to the variable view. The variable view will show you how the question has been defined. You're not going to be able to type from data. Well, you can type from data view too. All right, so let me go up there. All right, let's start at the top. Is that is sex nominal or interval or ratio? That's nominal. Age? That's a ratio. That's a real thing. You're just typing in real numbers there. Employ? Nominal. Industry? Race? Well, it better be nominal because we supposed to be in mutually exclusive groups. Don't mind my cousin brought her husband to stay with me and he's half Sicilian, half black. What a combination. Cute too. Monthly household income? Check that, Nicole. That is in ranges. That should be in ranges. Yeah, it's nominal. What about, are you aware of the new mortgage plan? That is a key question there here because these people want to know if their promotion strategy for this mortgage plan is working. How satisfied are you with the customer service department? Nominal. Huh? When a bag get, that is on a continuum. You know what does be the trick? You see the same word going through strongly agree to strongly disagree. Excellent down to very poor with any same word, but you know it's on a scale. Very dissatisfied down to, all right? So very dissatisfied down to very satisfied. That is an interval, attitude, question, measuring perceptions. We like to put them on a continuum. So it will look to me like 1, 2, 3, and 4 will have to be on the same scale. Years, ratio, branches, ratio, but that is real numbers, how much branches you at an age cap. We recognize now that we have to back them because the people might not want to put the age, so we have put that now in a what? No, age cap would be what? Has to be nominal. No, don't get mixed up, Ms. Ephraim. The interval is on the continuum. As is a mutually, you're in one category or the next, you're in mutually exclusive blocks. And all they can plot you on the scale is in blocks. In blocks. All right. Now, I would ask you to go and do your preliminary statistics now. Go and do your preliminary statistics. Where you need to run percentages, run those. And where you need to run means and standard deviations, run those. And if you look here, this should guide you as to how to run percentages, the commands, and as how to run means and standard deviations. That's not on the SPSS and data analysis handout. I teach you how to do inferential statistics there, but descriptive statistics are on the first few pages of your. So run the means. All right. Run all the percentages together. Identify all the questions that you have to run a percentage for and run them. And then all the questions you have to run a mean for, run those as well. Yes? And standard deviations, and then we will talk again. All right. Practice makes perfect. What are your immediate observations? What are some of the things you're seeing? What is really happening? What is happening with gender? Okay. Okay, tell me about the gender distribution of this firm's customer base. What percentage females? Mostly women. So mostly women, like this financial, might be a credit union, I don't know. So mostly women. What about race? Who's their primary target market? Black women. Anything else? Who? What about the income distribution? These are women at the lower end? Tell me. Monthly household income. It will look to me like they are getting people at two ends of the scale. They're getting a lot of women at and then a lot of women are under 1,000. So that is really two distinct segments there. All right? Have they succeeded in informing people about the mortgage plan? People know about it? Why not? Why are you saying that? Huh? Oh, shoot. 96% said no. Anything else you're seeing there that is interesting? So hold on a minute. Actually, you have done quite a bit of work in profiling the customer base. For every 7 women, there are only 3 men. So that's something they need to investigate. Why are we getting so many women in the credit union? That's for deeper research. Let's call it a credit union. All right? We are realizing that we have the greatest percentage in terms of income at the two ends of the scale, right? And those are different persons, really, because a woman who's making over $5,000 a month is very different to a woman who's making, what? 1,000, all right? So this financial institution cannot assume that it has like a whole set of people who on average make $3,000 to $4,000 a month. They're kind of at the two ends of the spectrum, and you still can't forget the people in the middle. But it may say to me that I may need more like differentiation in what I would offer. You get what I'm saying? Yes. The race is mostly black, but that might be because this is Barbados. All right? But if you are in a place that is very diverse, and you realize that we only really attracting black people here, you got to ask yourself, why you ain't attracting the other races? If that is in Barbados, that is fine. If that is in St. Lucia, that is fine. But if that is in Trinidad, you might got to ask that question. Where are the Indians putting the money? Why the men coming here? All right? So, you got to think about what you're seeing in the context of where you are. All right? Let's now look at what else you see there that is of interest. Industry. Which industries like this credit union? I remember my mother used to work in a garment factory, and she got a lot of women to sign up with COB many years ago. Do we see an equal distribution, or do we see agriculture? Wow. So it may be that this started off as a financial institution for women working in agriculture, not making a lot of money, and then it attracted other industries and women maybe from other industries, But you see, right now, all we have are some ideas. But as we go on today and we go deeper into this data, we can drill down further. Because you have some ideas, but you still have questions. Because, for example, you don't know if they're attracting men from agriculture or if they're attracting women from agriculture. You don't know that. Right? You get what I'm saying? You looked at the income figures. Yes, we will do that. But you hold it. Just wait. You do that already? Hmm? No, we didn't do that last week. Well, we did it on the board. We did it on the board. Right. We did it on the board. We did. All right? And, for example, you don't know if a lot of the persons who are higher income in that credit union are actually men. Because there's still 30% who are what? They're men. What do we know about them? You don't know if men know about the mortgage plan more than the women. You don't even know if men are more satisfied with various aspects of the credit union than women. Let's look at the satisfaction questions in total. For everybody, how satisfied are they with the various aspects of the financial institution? How satisfied are they with the various aspects? Y'all did those means and standard deviations? Mm-hmm. Well, you need to go and look back at how the scale was put in. Is very dissatisfied a 1 or is it a 5? A 1. Oh my. So the scale looks like this. Tell me about the scale. Very dissatisfied is a 1. Dissatisfied is a 2. What is 3? Neutral. That means neither dissatisfied nor satisfied. 4 is satisfied. And 5 is what? Very satisfied. So now you know the scale, folks. You cannot make an interpretation about an interval scale unless you know what you have assigned as what. Because remember, with an interval scale, you assign the numbers. The scales on a continuum, and you make the decision where you're going to put those numbers. It could be 500, 200. It's up to you. All right? So now you know the scale, which you would have found when you look back at the variable view. Tell me how they're doing. Let's look at those means. What are they doing best on? What are they doing best on? Location. So, what are they most satisfied with? True? What is the mean on that? Mm-hmm. So, where does that fall here? No, we ain't just thinking about numbers. We are marketers. So, somewhere close to here, right? We're not satisfied with that. What does standard deviation say? Oh, my. That means that all of the statistics the actual response is close. So most persons are between. Some people might have been neutral. Some people might have been satisfied. You see, the people that neutral, I want them up. All right? So that is okay. But if I'm running satisfaction with all the aspects of a credit union, and my highest score is not even a 4 for satisfied as an average, I have a problem. True? So, all right, what's the next one? What's it? Location. Location is something you just listen out for to improve. Like what COB? Y'all see COB moving there by Carrollton? I can't wait. That is location, man. Yeah, so what's the next one? Okay, what is that? 3.58. Now work here with me. If you get a 3.58 as satisfaction with opening hours, that won't tell you that you got to do something with them. And that your client base probably changed. And if you start off with agricultural workers and all them just finish at 3, so you could have closed at 4. If you start bringing on other industries, you can't close at 4 anymore. So it might be interesting to look and see industry by satisfaction with opening hours. Y'all, what do you think? I think that's a great thing to look at. Because right there and then, I am not seeing the satisfaction with opening hours. And if I know I started off as an agricultural credit union, I got to check and see if I am now shutting out other industries because of my opening hours. So that is one relationship that I want to look at. I want to look at industry by satisfaction with opening hours. Industry by satisfaction with opening hours. Does that make sense to you? It's too low. And I want to know if I'm not fulfilling, or even if I might look at it by gender. Because the men might say, well, he's worked at all hours in night, and by the time I get the credit union closed, and women might say, well, it's art for me. So I might look at it by gender. I might look at it by industry. I might even look at it by income. Location by.
Because depending on where the location is, people might not be able to get there.
But you see, I ain't answering the question as to which location in this bank. I ain't asking that. That ain't anything. That is a fault with the questions. So industry by satisfaction with opening hours. And I could also look at what? Gender by what? Satisfaction with opening hours. Because the men and women might be keeping different times. I don't know. It might not be. You might not find anything, but you might. Sometimes you run these tests, you don't find anything. Sometimes you do. All right. What are they real dissatisfied with? Oh, Lord, have mercy. Oh, dear. They're not happy with that. What does it mean? Now, we know that we do services marketing, and this is a service. So it's 2.6. Oh, my. Look at where it is, look. Oh, dear. The R, what is the standard deviation? Oh, my. So it's small. So we're looking at something happening here. I am not satisfied with that as a marketer. I hate that. All right? So we now have to we got to drill down with that. We got to look and see if it is by income. Because you might find that the people that got money more care about the level of service they're going to get. So I'm going to drill down further into that satisfaction with customer service. By what? By everything. By industry, by income, by race, by age, good observation, by gender. And you know it'll be real frightening by number of years that it was there. It'd be very frightening if people who, they're there for a long time are thinking, again, dissatisfied. Just a minute, Ash. So I want to look at satisfaction by number of years. Or even the number of counts you got. They measure the number of counts? No. They didn't measure that. Yeah. All right. Yes, please. Oh, yes. Thanks for bringing that. Those are real numbers. Those are real numbers. So I have worked out the average age of my client base, which is what? 22 years. What that tell you? People young. These are people you can grow with. So you try and get them happy because they're young. Any other average was worked out on real numbers, meaning the ratio questions, besides average age? How many what? You've been with the business. How many years? Most people been there now? About 3 years. And how many clients? Oh my. If people are giving them more than one account, they might got a savings, they might got a checking, they might have a loan. You have people who are thrown in the towel with you. So you got to treat them better than they say they're being treated now. Because they have on average how many accounts with you? 3. All right, so yeah, we have people who want to do business with us. And if they want to do business with us, shouldn't they know about the new mortgage plan? Huh? I think a major thing in here is to determine the level of awareness of the mortgage plan. So I think you should look at awareness of mortgage plan. What? By all these things. By what? By age. What else? Gender, race, income. And the list goes on because I want to know if, for example, men don't know about the mortgage plan, so I have to develop now a promotion campaign to reach them. I want to know if the old people don't know about the mortgage plan or the young people don't know, so I have to develop something to reach them. Are y'all still following me? Are you following me, Mr. Gay? No? But why you didn't say you're not following? Who? Who is not following me today? Yeah, Kathleen, you weren't here, so I ain't expecting you. Who is completely lost? Who's only somewhat lost? Thanks for that, Ms. Harper. Who lost? Lost. Y'all don't hear lost? You lost down here? I don't expect you to know what I'm doing because you didn't get to classes. You can't try to catch up. Yeah. So what is the issue here? Huh? Yeah, but I ain't show you how to do relationships yet. Are y'all following with why I'm saying that we need to look at these relationships? You understand that? Why ain't getting no further, Mr. Gay and Mr. Brian? Y'all following that? We ain't getting no further. You understand what I'm saying today, Mr. Nazar? No. But Mr. Frederick, just hold on with Miss Bellamy. What about you, Miss Gibson? Great. So we realize, believe it or not, you started to fulfill all of these research objectives. Haven't you? You can tell me who their average customer is. Right, Mr. Licorice? Black women working in agriculture, young black women working in agriculture. Either, we find that they're on mostly two spectrums of the income continuum. Is there good awareness of the mortgage plan? Is there good awareness of the mortgage plan? No. Yes, Miss Ash, you were asking me something for the longest time. Let me come in here. Yes. Yes. Is one. Not much of a one though. But don't worry about that. It's not high enough for me. Alright? It's not much of a one. Alright, wait. Have we measured the customers' relationships with the institution? How? How much accounts they have? How long they were hanging out there? Yes. And then to find out the various strengths and weaknesses. What are the strengths right now? They ain't got none. Because we ain't just looking at this as numbers. They ain't got none, folks. When I am getting means, look, I tell y'all, when I see my statistics, and my statistics are not over 4, heading up to 5, something is wrong with my teaching. 1 year I taught research methods to business, and my average was 3 point something. I said, no, this ain't working for me. What I want to say to you, though, is we have measured most of those objectives there, but we can measure them deeper. We can go deeper. We can go deeper when we begin to look at relationships. Industry by satisfaction. All right? Gender by satisfaction. Age by satisfaction. Age by awareness of the new mortgage plan. Gender by awareness of the new mortgage plan. Industry by awareness of the new mortgage plan. Income by awareness of the new mortgage plan. Income by satisfaction with opening hours. Income by satisfaction with the new investment plan. Y'all understand what we're looking? We're looking at how different groups feel. I want to see if different groups feel the same or if they feel different. Or if different groups know the same or if they know different. Because if, for example, I run gender by awareness of the new mortgage plan and I realize, wait, the men know about this thing, but the women don't know, what I have to do? I have to go now and educate the women. All right? So now we are, and you've done all your preliminary statistics, and you could start writing up. But now you want to begin to look at relationships. You want to look at the research a bit deeper. Y'all still with me? So I want to show you how you do that. Now here is where you need to really hang in with me. So I want to give you just 5 minutes break because we have a lot to do. So far, we knocked this out, right? This is where we look at the whole sample overall. All the men and women lumped together, we measured their satisfaction with customer service, and it was poor. We looked at everybody's income on the same scale. We didn't break them out by industry. We didn't look at none of those things. But we need to look at those things. Because remember, we don't see the market as a mass market as marketers. We look to see what's happening in the various segments. This segmentation here, you know. All right, so we've pretty much covered this. True? Yes. We want to get into the realm now of these. This is what we call inferential statistics. Remember, don't forget what I told you. Look at my handout so you know which test to run, and then look at Devanish's handout because he runs the test step by step. Can't go wrong. All right? So there are days that you want to look at a nominal question by a nominal. So remember, are you aware of the mortgage plan was yes or no? Nominal, right? By gender, which is also nominal. So if I was looking at awareness of the mortgage plan by gender, awareness of the mortgage plan by race, awareness of the mortgage plan by age category. It wasn't age, remember, there's one ratio and there's one, so this would be age or even age cat. I will run two different tests there. So if I'm looking at age cat by awareness of the mortgage plan, nominal by nominal. If I'm looking at awareness of the mortgage plan by industry, that's a nominal by a nominal. And anytime I'm crossing a nominal by a nominal, I am doing a cross tabulation and a chi-squared. It never changes. That is why you always have to go through your question and identify what each question is. Because then when you look at this, you know what to run. If I want to look at a nominal by an interval or ratio, we treat interval and ratio questions the same way. If I want to run a nominal by an interval or ratio, I am running an independent samples t-test or a one-way ANOVA. Now, what we mean by that? An independent sample, an ANOVA is just an extended independent samples t-test. An ANOVA is just an extended independent samples t-test. If my nominal variable, which I will also call my categorical variable, because you know what is a categorical variable? It puts people in categories. Are you male or female? So nominal variables are also called categorical variables. Are you working in agriculture or banking or tourism? And putting you in a category oftentimes with the nominal questions. But remember, yes or no's are also nominal questions, and those are not categorical. But primarily, your demographic questions are going to be nominal, and they're going to be what we call categorical. So watch here. If this is my categorical question here, my categorical question would be like the gender, the age, cat, the industry, y'all still following me? The race. And then I will be looking at it by satisfaction. See that question there? Satisfaction with customer service. See? So I'm looking at the category. So Is there a relationship between a person's gender and if they're satisfied? Is there a relationship between a person's race and if they're satisfied? Because remember, the satisfaction questions were not measured on no yes or no. They were measured on a what? On a scale. They were, hold on a minute, they were measured, I can answer your question just now, they were measured intervally. So, whereas I will run a cross sub and a chi-square for nominal by nominal, I can't run that. Because remember, my interval question is on a continuum. It is not in a mutually exclusive block. So, different statistics have been designed to run that. Now, work here with me. If my nominal question is gender, how many descriptors or categories do I have in there? 2. Then I run an independent samples t-test. The minute I step up to more than 2 categories, what are some of the categorical questions that have more than 2 categories? Race, industry, income. Immediately, as I step up, I'm running an ANOVA. You got that? So you have to look at the categorical question, the groups that you're assessing. So you're looking at groups and looking at how they feel. Groups, how they feel. Do they feel differently? Or do they feel the same? So all of these are age, income, race, income, race, those are your categorical or nominal questions. If your categorical or nominal question has 2 categories only, independent samples t-test. More than 2 categories, I don't know if I don't worry, we're going to say this all, we're going to say this till we leave here. Now, if you are running, crossing an interval or ratio by an interval or ratio, right now you're looking at 2 questions on a continuum, both of them on a scale. No more nominal questions anymore. Both of these questions are on a scale. If you're looking at an interval or ratio by interval or ratio, you're running a correlation, which is a test of association, or if you are trying to prove that one causes the other. Here we assume they're moving together. Here we're assuming one causes the other. I can teach you regression next week. Can't teach you that, there's too much. We are running correlation if they move together, and if I'm saying that a change in price causes a change in sales, I am saying that is a cause and effect relationship. Remember, we talked about causal research. That is a causation. Then I'm running a regression. All right? So that is why it's important to know how the variable is described. Is it nominal? Is it ordinal? Is it interval? Is it ratio? Because it makes a difference to the test that you're going to run. Are y'all still with me? Huh? You aren't with me yet, but you can get with me hopefully by the end of the. Now, this is where it gets technical. And I have no problem repeating myself at least 3 times. Anytime you are looking for a relationship between 2 variables, awareness and gender, awareness and race, satisfaction and income, satisfaction with opening hours and industry, you have to run the test against a hypothesis. You set up a hypothesis, you run the test, and you determine whether that hypothesis has been supported or not. Did I answer the question you wanted to ask me? Huh? Okay. So you run every test against a hypothesis. And for simplicity's sake, we as researchers and statisticians run every single test for relationships. Every single inferential test is run against the null hypothesis. We put up the null hypothesis there as the standard, and then when we run the test, we say whether the test has supported or not supported the null hypothesis. Get that in your brain. Every test is run against the null hypothesis. Did they teach you that in statistics? H naught. And then HA is the what? The alternative. So every single test is run against this null hypothesis. And you know what I would tell about the null hypothesis? It is so empty that it never changes. Okay? Or it is so full because if you're God, you're full and you never change. All right? It never changes. And what does this null hypothesis say? You can look at it in two ways. It either says, whatever sits with you mentally, I want you to assume. It says there's no relationship between the two variables, or there's no difference between the demographic groups. What does that mean in reality? The null hypothesis will always say, let's look at gender and awareness of mortgage plan. The null hypothesis will say there's no relationship between gender and mortgage awareness of the mortgage plan, or otherwise said, there is no difference between the level of awareness that men have and women have. They're all the same. The null hypothesis always assumes the mass market perspective. Everybody's the same. So when you go now and you look at gender and awareness, you're going to see that, oh shoot, men like to know more about this than women. In other words, there's some relationship between what your gender is and your awareness of the mortgage plan. Or otherwise said, men and women are significantly different in their level of awareness. Both of those mean the same thing. Either men and women are significantly different in their level of awareness, or there's some relationship between what a person's gender is and their awareness. But you know what the null hypothesis always says? There's no relationship, there's no difference. So there's no relationship between a person's gender and their level of awareness, and there's no difference between men and women in terms of their level of awareness. The null hypothesis always says that. So when you are running your statistical test, you are checking to see if there is truly a difference. Because if there's truly a difference, then you are in the realm of segmentation. If the null hypothesis is right, you could treat men and women the same way. But if the null hypothesis is wrong, you can't. That's why understanding how to do these tests is critical to do segmentation, which we taught you from first year principles of marketing. True? So you need to know, and don't feel that you must always find a statistically significant result. Pray tell why. I, as a marketer, would love to find and prove the null hypothesis, because I would know I ain't going to spend this 3 and 4 sets of money to reach 3 and 4 different segments, or treat men different to women. Treat them all the same, because when I run my statistical test, they're the same as sliced bread. Woohoo, less money for me to spend. Because funding a mass marketing campaign is going to work out to give you more economies of scale than developing specific messages for specific segments, because they're statistically significantly different based on what your research said. All right? So there's nothing wrong with finding a result that is not significant. For a marketer, we love that. Everybody else might not like it, but we love it because it's less money for us. Are y'all still following me? So let's move on to the next slide. Null hypothesis is always the standard, and it always says nothing happening there. So your test has to prove that the null hypothesis is not right. All right? Now, these are tests of statistical significance. Is there a statistically significant relationship between gender and awareness of the mortgage plan? Or are men statistically significantly different from women in their level of awareness of the mortgage plan? Because if men are statistically significantly lower in their awareness, then they have to do some extra work to reach that. All right? So let's look at what this null hypothesis always assumes. Now, I didn't teach you all sampling yet, so I'm going to give you just a little snippet here about sampling. The null hypothesis always assumes that any differences that you actually see between the groups are not a real difference, but due to chance or sampling error. So suppose I found that 75% of the men were not aware and 78% of the women were not aware. You know, the null hypothesis will tell you that is only you take that because you took a sample. But if you ask everybody that belong to this credit union, those differences are going to even out, and it's going to be 75% the women and 75% the men. The only difference you see is because there's something in your data set called, or your sample set called sampling error. You didn't sample everybody. And the differences you're seeing is because you didn't ask everybody. But I tell you, if you ask everybody, all of them, you're going to end up with the same percentages. That is what the null hypothesis is. Any difference you see? That's due to sampling error. Sampling error because we asked a slice of the population rather than the entire population. But this is what statistical significance is. If a particular difference is so large that it cannot be accounted for by sampling error alone, then that difference is statistically significant. So when we run our test, we say, you can say what you like, null hypothesis. That difference has nothing to do with sampling error. That is a real difference between men and women. That is what your statistical test will be looking then to prove. To say, sampling error accounted for, even over and above that. These people are different. Are you still following me? I'll tell you in a minute. When you are running a statistical test, you are interested in that p-value. That is what will tell you if the difference is large enough or not. The p-value is the exact probability of getting a test statistic that was due to chance or to sampling error. The p-value is therefore support for the null hypothesis. If when I run a p-value and it is telling me what is the exact statistic I would get if the differences between two groups is due to chance, that p-value is support for the null hypothesis. So work here with me. The lower the p-value, the less support I have for the null hypothesis, the more I know that there's a statistically significant difference between the two groups. Let me repeat that again. The lower the p-value, the less support I have for the null hypothesis, the more I know that there's a difference between those two groups. All right? Let me repeat it again. P-value is support for the null hypothesis. The lower it is, the more I know that there's a statistically significant relationship happening there. One more slide. If P is 0.05 or less, now you're going to ask me where them get that 0.05 from. Folks, the statisticians get together and that is what them agree it is. That's all I can tell you. And this has been the standard for testing in marketing research. Whether we are being too stringent here or not, who knows? Because we might end up treating a lot of markets as mass markets when we should go deeper in them, but this is what the statisticians decided, and marketing has not moved away from this standard. If the p-value is 0.05 or less, that is real low. Watch. You have only 5% support for the null hypothesis. 0.05 is 5%, right? Or, otherwise said, you are 95% certain that there's a relationship between two variables. If the p-value is above 0.05, you accept the null hypothesis, then a relationship there. Treat them like a mass market. So you have to get a p-value of 0.05 or less, because then you say, I only have 5% support for the null hypothesis. Remember, the p-value is always support for the null hypothesis. When you read the p-value, it is the probability of getting a statistic that is due to chance, and it is support for the null hypothesis. So the lower the p-value, the more I know, look, this is in a mass market. These people are statistically significantly different. If I get a p-value of 0.05 or less, you ought to say about 95% confidence intervals. That is what it's about. If I get a p-value of 0.05 or less, I am rejecting the null because I have low support for it. That was a lot, huh? Y'all lost? You lost? I know you lost. Let me say it again. Let's start over. Every statistical test is run against the null hypothesis. Everybody got that far? What does the null hypothesis say? Can anybody remember? Everybody's the same. There's no relationship between a person's gender and awareness of the mortgage plan, or men and women have the same level of awareness of the mortgage plan. We got that far or no? Good. What do I run every statistical test against? What's the standard against the null? I run every statistical test against the null. And the null always says there's no relationship between gender and awareness, or otherwise said, both of them mean the same thing. Men and women are no different. So then when I want to prove now whether I should accept this null or not, I run something called the P. the p-value. And the p-value is always level of support for that same null. I'm running the test, I'm running everything against the null, and the p does tell me what support I got for this null. So if I have low support for the null, then I'm saying that there's a statistically significant relationship between two variables, right? Good. So if I get a p of 0.05, I only have 5% support for the null. So then I am, flip it over, because 5 and 95 is 100, I am 95% certain that there's some relationship between a person's gender and their awareness. So either the women more aware or the men the same. Because I have looked at the relationship between gender and awareness, and I have gotten low support for the null. And the p-value told me that. So if you get a p-value of 0.055, accept the null because it's greater than 0.05, folks. Don't even try to fudge it. Because that is only 94.5% acceptance of the other alternative. And as it seems high, Miss Matthews, it seems high. I am not a part of that debate. I'm just telling you what is the standard. And the standard says that you are not rejecting the null at 0.1. You are not rejecting the null at 0.2. You are rejecting the null at 0.005. So if I get a p-value of 0.05 or less, I reject the null. As soon as it's over 0.05, I accept the null. There's no relationship. Treat them like a mass market. Is anybody still lost and you want me to say it again? All right, let me see if we can run some tests now. So whether I'm running this, look, if I'm running this, I'm running it against the null. If I'm running that, if I'm running this, all of them running against the null, every one. From the time you go into inferential statistics, we are running the test, looking for the p-value, and then making the decision from there. Every one of those is run against a p-value. But I got to show you when you run the test where the p-value is. Because the test varies, the procedures you use to run the test vary, and where you got to look for the statistics, that varies as well. All right? Good. So, let's start off with nominal by nominal. Nominal by nominal. Right? So any nominal by nominal question in your data set, we only put up a few here. We only put up a few here, Miss Nels. But any nominal by nominal question in your data set, and also the data you're going to collect for me, you are running a what? A cross tabulation and a chi-squared. Now I want to show you something about this cross tabulation and this chi-square. I showed you a cross tabulation the other day. Work here with me. Whenever you are running a test, always put the categorical variable in the column. It's be easier to understand. Let me show you what I mean. When I'm running awareness of the mortgage plan, by gender, put the gender in the column is be easier, right? So there's a cross tab here, look. So we will put awareness of the mortgage plan here. So when you're actually deciding what to go in the column and then when you're running the test, always put the categorical variable because it's just easier to read. Sometimes when you put it in the row, it's got you confused. So awareness of the mortgage plan. These persons will be the one who said yes. These persons will be the one who said no. And if we put in the categorical variable up here, we will put gender up here, right? So this will be male, and this will be female. Now work here with me. When you're looking at nominal variables on their own broadly, will you just run frequencies and percentages, right? So folks, all the crosstab and chi-squared tell you is if the percentage of men who said yes is different to the percentage of women who say yes. if those percentages, those percentages are the same or they're statistically significantly different. So look, I might have run the test and I might have found that 30% of the men said yes, so 70% of them would say no, I'm going down. And I might have found that 45% of the women, of the females said yes, so what percent of them would have said no? 55. Now work here with me. There's the cross tab here. The chi-square that's going here now, that's going these boxes, and look to see if there's a statistically significant difference between, say, the 30 and 45. Or between the 70 and 55. That is all the crosstab does. The crosstab does set up the blocks. What percentage of the men said yes? What percent of the women said yes? What percent of the women said no? And then the chi-square does go and dig in those squares and tell you, look, if you see a difference between men and women, that is either really different, where I'm saying I'm not supporting the null hypothesis, or those differences, even if you see differences in those boxes, they're simply due to chance or sampling error. Because sometimes you will see this. Look, this is clear. This is gonna be no support for null hypothesis. Those are so different. I don't have to run a chi-square. I can look and see that this and this is real different. But suppose I saw something like this, 30 and 31.6. That is when I need the chi-square, because the chi-square is going to tell me, that 31.6 and 30, those differences only exist because you did not run a census. Those differences exist because of sampling error. So the chi-square really looks into the percentages and it tells you those percentages are really different, reject the null. Or it might say those differences in percentages, if you had taken a sample, a census, they would have disappeared. So then accept the null. Are you all still following me? That's why we just can't run a crosstab. We got to run a chi-squared, and the chi-squared is always really look at them percentages. Don't mind you see 1 or 2 percentage points different. They may really different. That's just due to sampling error. I say, All jokes aside, boys, those percentages are so different that there's really truly a difference between how men and women, the level of awareness that men and women have of this mortgage plan. You got it? So we run this test. Let's now run actually awareness by gender, race, income. It will have the age cap here now, not age, because that is not nominal. That is racial. Right? So how we gonna run this test? We come on to the next slide. I show you how to run the test. Now I just show you what crosstab is. It's a technique for organizing data by groups, categories, or classes. This is what I just did here. Thus facilitating comparisons. So how we gonna run this nominal by nominal? Just follow the commands. Follow exactly what I tell you there. SPSS commands to run a nominal by nominal. So what are we running? Gender, race, income, industry by awareness of the mortgage plan. Is that what we're doing? We're looking at all of these categorical variables and then running them by what? Awareness of the mortgage plan. So let's don't worry, we're going to get through it. Click Analyze. Click Descriptive Statistics. Click Crosstab. Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, click Crosstab. What I told you that you should always put in the column, the categorical question, which is in this case, gender or race or income or age cap. Put in all. I'm running that by awareness of the mortgage plan. Look here, look. Put demographic or categorical variable in the column and the other nominal variable in the row. So which variable I'm going to put in the row? The awareness of the mortgage plan, right? Put that in the row. You following me, Mr. Musa? Good. So put the demographic or the what about you, Miss Nels? The demographic or the categorical variable in the column, just like how I do here, look. And put the other nominal variable, which is awareness, in the row. Let me get down here, because I ain't feeling the energy down here. The energy kind of flaking out down here. Y'all lost? How y'all doing? Running. Look, I am just running all awareness by all the demographics one time. I'm wasting you time. You could have just looked at awareness by gender. One test. But I gave you the whole how, and I run it all one time. So I put all the categorical variables in the column, and put the awareness in the row. Look back at the screen now. Go to cells at the bottom of the screen and ask for a column percentage. That's what you want. Never, no, if you don't do this, you're going to be looking at statistics and you're going to know what you're looking at. Go to cells at the bottom of the screen and ask for a column percentage. Go and do that now. Cells. You see cells at the bottom of the screen? At the side, or shoot, they moved it again. Go to cells at the side of the screen and ask for a column percentage. Because you're looking at what the gender. Gender, you have that in the column. You got gender in the column. You got that? Huh? Go to cells and tell it you want a column percentage. Good. Everybody, you're with me? Mr. Lynn? Go to cells and ask for a column percentage. You got it? All right. Last thing you got to do now, you only set up the cross tab. You ain't asked for chi-square test yet. So wherever to put it now, go to the statistics and ask for chi-square test. I don't know if it's at the side or the bottom. Go to statistics and ask for chi-square test and then run the test. So you have set up the cross tab. You put the categorical or the demographic variable in the column, so you want a column percentage. If you have put the demographic or the categorical variable in the row, you would have asked for a row percentage. If you had put the demographic or categorical variables in the row, you would have asked for a row percentage. But I know from doing this thing, it's easier to read when you put the demographic variable in the column. Yes. You can have any amount of categories in nominal. You just only really begin to worry about the number of categories with these. See? With nominal, you can write the amount of categories. Just run it. All right, let's look at the case processing summary first. And it's telling me the number of persons who answered this question. All right? And it's telling me number of persons who answered that question, or the percentage, the sample who answered that question. So only 94 persons answered, are you aware of our new mortgage plan? We come down now. Y'all look at gender first. Let's look at the gender one. Are you aware of the new mortgage plan crossed by gender? We've looked at a relationship. The first table gives you the cross tab. The first table, you follow me, Mr. Frederick? The first table gives you the cross tab. Folks, let me tell you something. You can't look at that cross tab table yet. You got to look at the chi-square table first. Because it's the chi-square table that tells you whether you should consider these percentages as being the same or different. So don't even look at the cross tab table. Don't get confused by it. Come down to the next table. And we got to read this chi-square test. You see that thing there that says Pearson chi-square? That is what you are reading. What is that? We're looking at it just for gender. Are you only looking at gender? You see Pearson chi-squared? And you come across there now and see asymptotic significance two-sided. ASYMP dot significance two-sided. Folks, that is the p-value. My dear Watsons, hold on. You see this? You got to write down what you're supposed to be looking at. I had to write down things. So you coming down and you looking at the chi-square test first. Don't like cross tab table. And the asymptotic two-sided, read that. Actually, to be honest, you should really be reading the 2 by 2, but I'm confusing you. It don't really be no different. Normally, when you run a nominal that got 2 variables in it and the other one got 2 variables in it, it's give you an exact test. You only get it when you run a 2 by 2, but don't get so confused. Just look at the asymptotic two-sided, regardless of whether it's a 2 by 2, 7 by 11, or 3 by 4. All right? And what you see there is that you get a variable of what? folks. How far is that from 0.05? So far, this is what I can tell you. Men and women in a different point awareness in mortgage plan. They are very, very similar. Men and women are no different because I would know they were different if I had gotten a p-value of 0.05 or less. Folks, I got 92% support there for the null hypothesis. Because remember, the p-value is always what? Support for the null. The p-value is always what? Support for the null. So I accept the null there, boy. That is much greater. That is heading towards 1. In other words, there is absolutely no difference. In fact, men and women are 92% similar in their awareness of the mortgage plan. So nobody tell you, boy, let me tell you, they got to start quick and they got to educate everybody because from when you run the first statistic, 96% of the people they know. You understand what I'm saying? And it tells me that men and women really know different. They have to educate every single person. Yes. Yes, Mr. Gay. Asymptotic significance to say they write it down. And that is the p-value, and the p-value is always support for the what? Support for the what? Support for the null. So I have a whole ton of support there for the null. All right, look at the other variables now. So we are writing our report, and the report says there is need for a broad range education program with respect to this mortgage plan across genders. So I can see ads with women talking about it, men talking about it, find everybody immediately because lack of awareness has gone across all the genders. True? And I can show you something. Look back up into the cross tab. In terms of awareness, what percentage of the men are aware? Who? Look back up in cross tab. What percentage of the men are aware? And what percentage of women? Not much of a muchness. 4.3 and 3.9 equals the same thing. You know what equals? Not aware. Yeah, we can't think like statisticians anymore. We got to think like marketers now. So look at the other statistics now. Awareness, let's look at awareness by income. First, go down and look at the chi-squared first and look at the asymptotic p-value. What are you seeing there? Point what? 0.762? Which one that was? All right, let me put up these stats here. Awareness by gender. I got a asymptotic 0.923. What about what's the next one? Income. What's that? Anybody else? Y'all did industry? Or age cat? Remember, you can't run age. Age is a racial variable. You're only running nominals by nominals here. What you found with the industry? By 906. Anything else? Employ that, yeah. Age cat. 0.02. Age cat. Point what? 0.02. We got a difference there. We've hit on a difference. Depending on a person's age category, they have a greater or a lesser awareness of this plan. Why? Because I have a p-value of what? Y'all follow me down here? 0.023. And that how much support I have for the null hypothesis there? 2.3%. 0.02 is less than 0.05. So I am 98% certain that there is a relationship between the age category a person is in and their awareness of the mortgage plan. So then and only then Can I now look back up into the first table to really see where the percentages are different? Because the chi-square test has told me that there is a difference in those percentages that is statistically significant. So all of those other tests you would have said, awareness is the same, or let me put it better, of awareness is the same across income, you find me, Miss Small, gender, industry, employment category. But I'm realizing that there's some difference between age cat. So go back up in the crosstab table for age cat there now. And we have the age category as either under 25 or over. Is it? Yeah. Huh? Yeah. So let's look at the percentages now, because the chi-square test has said there's some difference there. Something that is not due to sampling error, but is real, is statistically significant. So if we go here now, tell me how the crosstab look. Age cat rate and awareness. All right, tell me about the percentages. Over 25. That's yes? Uh-huh. Oh my. No. And then? Folks, those percentages are really different because the system told you that. So it looking to me like the people that is under 25 know more about the mortgage plan than the people that is over. Who under 25 does be trying to get a mortgage? You could tell me. So really and truthfully, where they need the awareness is where they don't have it. You got that? Because the boy under 25, we're not looking for a car loan now. We're not looking for a bike loan. Perish the thought. No bike loans. So much people just die on bikes. I have a relative that died on a bike. I don't even know if he's in heaven or hell. Up to this week, I was thinking about it. Don't let me have to do the same for you. Make sure that I know that you are entering the pearly gates with many stars in your crown. Yes? Yeah. Oh, Mr. Niles needs a repeat. Remember, Miss No Problem, it takes a while. The p-value is support for the null hypothesis. So there and then, Mr. Niles, I only got 2% support for it. I have very low support for it. When I looked at those one up there that was 0.93 and 0.90, I had high support for null support hypothesis. If I have a p-value of 0.05, I only have 5% support for null hypothesis. So immediately I say, you know what? These groups are not the same. They're different. Because remember, the null hypothesis always says they're the same. So if I get only a 2% support for null hypothesis, I know I'm 98% certain the groups are different. So anything that is 0.05 or less, I reject the null hypothesis and I say they're different. So that's why with those earlier percentages, those earlier chi-squares, I said, they're the same. But the 0.2 is below the 0.05. So I am only getting 2% support for the null hypothesis. So when I turn that around, I know I'm 98% certain that they're different. You got that? All right. So what I just said up there, look. Oh, when I get the p-value of 0.02, I am getting only 2% support for the null. What do you want? Oh, Miss Matthews wants to interpret. You can set out the back if you can, dear. Miss Matthews wants me to reinterpret the data. Look, when I look up there, I am only looking in that crosstab table now because that chi-square told me those percentages up there, they're statistically significantly different. So anytime the chi-square don't let you look up in table, don't even look, them is the same. Even if there's minute differences between them, it is due to sampling error. But that chi-square tell me, you can look up in that table because them different. But when I look up there, I realize the over 25s are 2.4% of them are aware of this thing. And the under 25s, 16.7% are aware of this mortgage plan. That troubles me because nobody who is under 25 ain't looking for no mortgage. As far as I'm concerned, everybody has to be educated because when I look at the overall statistic, 96% of the client base don't know nothing about it. So everybody got aware. But the critical part here, when I'm looking at age categories, I'm going to tell them over 25s because them is who looking to get a mortgage soon. So not that I don't want to tell the under 25s, but I know that the people who would really be in the market for a mortgage now don't know. Y'all got that? You got that, Miss Ash? Okay. Who? Yeah, but at the end of the day, nobody makes themselves aware. You got to make people aware. So it tells me that you are getting to these people in these spaces and places that they are, but not you getting to you over 25. Well, why you ain't getting to them? There's a mortgage plan, man. This ain't like a reduced interest rate on a car. You know, so that's from the initial descriptive statistics that you did, everybody needs to know. But I really need to know with my critical segments, that far down, boy. 98% of them don't know. That's trouble. Yeah?
Can you repeat for me? You said if it's higher than 0.05.
If it is higher than 0.05, accept the null. All right. All right. So y'all think you got that crosstab chi-square business? Because I got to move on. I got to teach you the independent samples test today, and I got to teach you the t-test. And I got to teach you correlation. And that is a lot to do in 50 minutes, so hang on. Because I want you to be able to do your project before you leave here. So, can we move on? So when you go through your questionnaire, and you have two nominally scaled questions, put the categorical one in the column, run the crosstab and the chi-squared, look in the chi-square table first, look for asymptotic two-sided. That is the p-value. That is support for the null hypothesis. If that is 0.05 or less, I reject the null hypothesis because I have low support for it. Even if it is 0.055, I accept the null hypothesis and I say there is no relationship between the two variables. So I do not even look in the crosstab table. Any differences in percentages, that is simply due to sampling error. All right, let's move on. Nominal by what? Interval or ratio. So our satisfaction questions were what? They were intervally scaled. Some of our questions were also ratio scaled. So if it is a nominal by an interval or a ratio, I am running either a t-test or I'm running an analysis of variance. What did I tell you about that t-test? If the number of categories in the nominal or the categorical or the demographic is 2. If the number of categories in the nominal or the categorical or the demographic, they all mean the same thing, is more than 2, I'm running a one-way analysis of variance. So let's now look at these. Obviously, we can't look at these the same because they're different. Satisfaction with customer service. By age cat. How much age categories do I have? Only 2. So what am I running here? T-test. Satisfaction by gender. What am I running here? T-test. Satisfaction with employment status. How many do I had? 3. So then I run in ANOVA. Satisfaction with by industry. What am I running? ANOVA. Satisfaction by income, what am I running? ANOVA. And I would do that for all the satisfaction questions. And hold on a minute. If I wanted to run number of client accounts, this is ratio by age category, gender, employment status, industry, income, the same thing would apply. Because this number of client accounts is a ratio question. So if I was running number of client accounts, which is ratio by gender, I would be running a t-test. If I was running number of client accounts by income, I would be running an analysis of variance. So anytime I'm running either an interval or a ratio by a nominal, I look to see how many categories are in the nominal. If the nominal has 2 categories, I'm running a t-test. If the nominal has more than 2 categories, I'm running an ANOVA. Got that? Good. Y'all follow me down the back? Goody. So what y'all want to run here now? Let's run the nominal, the independent samples t-test first. We got that? Good. So analyze. Y'all moving too fast. Analyze. Compare means. Hold it. What we just did with the nominals, we didn't compare percentages. And with an intervally scale question, what you were running before, not means. So it's only obvious that when we run in a t-test or analysis of variance, we ain't comparing percentages no more. We compare means. So we're looking now to see if the woman's mean on satisfaction is statistically significant to the men's mean. We look and see if the older people, the older you get, you have more client accounts than if you are younger. We are looking to see if one industry's mean on satisfaction with the opening hours is different to another industry's mean on satisfaction with the opening hours, because we are now taking that interval question called satisfaction and splitting it up according to the groups that we are looking at, whether that group be gender, whether it be the income groups, whether it be the age category group. You get me? So now we are really no longer comparing percentages, which across time and a chi-squared allows us to do. We are comparing means. All right? So independent samples compare means. And when you see compare means, what are some of the things you see on it? One sample t-test, independent sample t-test, pair sample t-test, and one another. If I had time, let me just tell you it briefly. If you have an industry standard, and you want to realize, and you want to find out if your sample's mean is different to what obtains for the whole industry, you run a one sample t-test. If you are testing a set of people twice, if I'm looking at your mean feeling about UV now, and I'm checking your mean feeling about UV 6 months from now, I'm testing you twice, so you run a pair of samples t-test. But I ain't got no time to teach that. All I want to focus on is anytime you have a test and you don't know what to run, call me or email me. And I will tell you when you run a one sample, a pair sample, an independent sample. But all I got time to teach you about today is the difference between the independent samples t-test and the ANOVA. All right? So you're running the independent samples t-test first. Hold it. You can only run one of these at a time. You know why? Because there's only one space to put in the grouping variable. And the grouping variable is the group variable. And what is the group? What are we doing here now? Let's do age with satisfaction with the customer service. So age would be what our grouping variable. Age cat though, not age. Age cat. Because remember, this is a nominal by a interval. Y'all follow me still? You're lost? So when you say you're lost thing, if you do not tell me you are lost, I gone. And then I got to come back and go again. So when you don't understand, just put it in your hand. Where are you lost, Mr. Gay? Right, but now we're going to run the test. So if we look at here, let me start over. You understand when to run a t-test and when to run an ANOVA? Depending on the number of categories in the nominal, the demographic, or the categorical variable. right? So with HCAT, I have 2, but with industry, I got 6. So that's an ANOVA, but the HCAT would be a t-test, right? Good. So let's run some t-tests. Let's use HCAT and satisfaction with customer service. Let's start there. So click Analyze, click Compare Means, because we are now comparing, for example, is the mean satisfaction with customer service for the persons who are under 25 significantly different to the ones for the persons who are over, or are they all the same? We're in their level of satisfaction with customer service. You still follow me? Good. So compare means, click independent samples t-test. Let's follow the instructions. Look at the front and let's read it. Put the nominal variable in the grouping variable. So that is what age? What's going in there? Age cap. Which has to be defined according to how it was initially defined at the variable view screen. And what time to tell you what we use these independent sample t-tests to do. That is for somebody else. But for right now, all I got to tell you, look back at your variable view screen. How did you define age category? Over 25 was what? 1, and under 25 was 2? Look back at your variable view screen. So you define them as 1 and 2, not as 100 and 200. So go back in group and variable and type in 1 and 2. You actually have to tell the system. Wait, let me see.
So I gotta go back to the
Define groups. And put in 1 and put in 2. I can just tell them a little smidge of something here. 1 is just putting 1 and 1 is 2. Look, let me tell you why that is a beautiful option there. Sometimes you might have an ANOVA, but you only want to analyze 2 of the groups in there. You only want to compare agriculture to banking. So when you want to do that, you just go and take a question that was really an ANOVA and just run a t-test. Because you could compare the 2, you could pull out the 2 groups you want and compare them. So sometimes you don't want ANOVA. You take you ANOVA and break it into a number of t-tests because you want to just compare 2 groups. So that's the beauty of the fact that the t-testers tell you, define the groups. Show me which ones you want. If you had ANOVA, you might have, if you have banking as a 4 and agriculture as a 3, you might have just said, I only want 3 and 4. Compare them for me. But I ain't no worry about all that. In this case, all you're worried about is that you run an independent samples t-test when your nominal variable has only 2 groups. Capiche? So go and define it for them. Define the groups, put in the 1, put in the 2 from the variable view. What else do we have to do? And now you have to put the ratio or interval variable in the test variable. Because this is when you're testing, you're testing the means here. So put the ratio or the interval variable in the test variable and run the test. Who? How satisfied? You can put in all of the satisfaction questions there and all of the ratio questions, but don't do that and confuse yourself. You're only looking at customer service. You see, you got a whole big box there that you can put in all the interval questions that you can run all the means, compare all the means you want, but let me just look at customer service and no. So just put in how satisfied are you with customers. Put in opening hours too, man. Put in opening hours. Let me see what happened in there. By age cap. Opening hours, the old people might find that the younger people might find that they're closing too early. So put in opening hours there on the customer service. So run. You can put two test variables, 2 of the satisfaction questions. Put in open hours, put in customer service. Have you defined your grouping variable as 1 and 2? And you put in the 2, or you're putting in all? Or she's putting in all her satisfaction questions. Put in as many satisfaction questions you like, and then click OK.
Just for clarification, these satisfaction questions will be ANOVA.
No.
These are
All of those are interval. But if you're running a t-test, if your nominal variable has in 2, so the age cat only has 2 categories, over 25 and under 25. So because that is interval. The satisfaction question is interval. You are either looking at the satisfaction, which is always interval, by a nominal with 2 categories, or the satisfaction by a nominal with more than 2.
Okay.
If it is more than 2, like how industry is, I'm running on ANOVA. If it is satisfaction, which is interval by 2, this is t-test.
Okay, this determines the test you run.
Yeah, the nominal determines the test I run. Yeah, that's good, Mr. Brand. So a quick question from Mr. Brand. It is the nominal that determines the test you run, right? Good. So, y'all run this test? I want to tell you a common mistake students has made. You see something there? First, let's look in the independent samples t-test table. You just look at the test statistic table first. So come down to the what? The independent samples t-test. Look at what happening there. You see something, girl, called Levine's test for equality of variances? Huh? Do you see something there called Levine's test for equality of variances? Folks, are we looking at the equality of variances or the equality of means? We are looking for the equality of means. I ain't getting into what Levine's test for equality of variances is. That's saying do a standard deviation. All right? All I want you to do is look at equal variances, not assume. That is the most stringent test. Equal variances, not assume. That is the most stringent. Whenever you're looking at this, look for equal variances, not assume. Because when you assume equal variances, you're assuming saying that you don't really know, and I'll show you how to test. So just look for equal variances, not assume. But are you looking on the Levine's test for equality of variances? Or are you looking for equality of means? You are looking for what? T-test for equality of means. You want to do them with the variances. So you got to look for the p-value on the t-test for equality of means. And lo and behold, look for it on the significance to tail. So when I look on the t-test, look here. On the output screen, look for significance result on the t-test for equality of means, not variances. When I put when equal, or you could look at it when equal variances are assumed or not assumed. It's really not going to be very different. But look for the p-value on the t-test for equality of means. All right. So when I look here now, for the customer service, what is my significance? All right, let me confuse you. Just look at equal variances, not assume. Always look at cross that out. Always look at equal variances, not assume. When I look at satisfaction with customer service, and I look on the significance to tail, equal variances, not assume, what value am I getting? 0.207. So this is customer service by age cat, and the p-value is 0.207. Is there anybody who is not seeing that? When I look at opening hours by age cat, what's the p-value? Equal variance is not assumed? 0.005. All right. Work here with me. Is there a statistically significant difference between the two age categories with respect to how they feel about customer service? No. Because what is the p-value? Point. Wrong. Listen to what I'm telling y'all. I'm looking at customer service first. The p-value, when I look at the age category being the nominal by customer service, equal variance is not assumed. What is the p-value? 0.207. Is that p-value good support for the no?
Yes, ma'am.
Why? Because it is over 0.05. Therefore, in my book, even though you may look back up in the earlier table and see slightly different means between the two age categories, they're not statistically significantly different. Both of those means in a statistician's book are the same. There is no difference between The mean feeling which the younger people have about customer service and the mean feeling which the older people have. And you know what I remember from the first set of statistics? The customer service statistic was lousy anyhow. But this is interesting when we're talking about opening hours. What is our p-value there? For opening hours, under t-test for equality of means, equal variances not assumed. Whoop-de-doo. 0.005. What is the cutoff for significance test? 0.05. Folks, we're about 99% certain that there is a statistically significant difference. We have very low support for the null hypothesis there. So you are free now to look at the means. And if you look back up in the table, what is the mean for the over 25 on satisfaction with the opening hours? What is the mean for the over 25 for satisfaction with the opening hours? Over 25, what? What about under 25? 4 point. How was satisfaction measured? On what scale? Okay, so the under 25s are very much more satisfied with the opening hours than the who? Than the overs. There's more Gurkha here again. The people that ain't got no money, they students, there's the from class like not 12, so it ain't gonna be no problem to gain the credit union. But the people know that working hard, that got all the money to save, that gonna invest in the mortgage plan, they're the ones who are less satisfied. Because remember, the satisfaction is measured on one is very dissatisfied. So all this test really did for you is it looked at the two means. This was the overall mean for the over 25s and the overall mean for the unders, and it compared those two means to see if the difference between them was simply due to chance when I would have gotten support for the null hypothesis, or whether it was really a big statistically significant difference where I would reject the null hypothesis. And I know I had to reject it because the p-value was less than 0.05. Remember, the p-value is always support for the null. Y'all still with me? Y'all still with me? So if I wanted to run gender, I would have done the same thing and looked at the means. If I wanted to run anything else that had two categories, I would have run an independent samples t-test. So just look back here and follow my instructions. If you realize that you still can't follow my instructions, go to Devanish's handout. He can actually show you the screens. Right? So where I fail, Devanish stands firm and strong. All right? With me? And on the output screen, do not look on the Levene's test for equality of what? Variances, because that's not what you're comparing. You're comparing one category's mean versus another. So let's now look at an ANOVA, which is when I would have no more than two categories in my nominal. How do we run that? Commands are different. Commands are different. All right, look at the screen now. What are some of the things you would want to run an ANOVA for? Satisfaction with customer service and satisfaction with opening hours by employment status, industry, income. True? Good. So, up to here, we comparing means still. Can we still comparing means? Is it mean satisfaction with customer service different over those 6 income categories, or is it the same? One way ANOVA. So come get to here for me, and then we will talk through here. Let's run satisfaction with customer service by, I don't know, income. I want to run satisfaction with customer service by income, and satisfaction with opening hours by income. But no, let me run one first. I don't want to get confused. This test does push out enough output. So I just want you to run satisfaction with customer service by income. All right, put the nominal or demographic variable in the factor and the other variable in the dependent list. So what will go in the factor? Income. Put that in the factor. You don't have to do the definition with that. And then you see the dependent list, then you run enough interval questions, but we're going to just try with the satisfaction with what? Customer service. So put in that satisfaction with customer service. Hold on a minute. Follow the logic here with me. When you are running a t-test, you are only comparing two groups. When you're running the t-test, you're only comparing two groups. So the system will be looking to see if group 1 is different to group 2. But what is the conundrum here? If I'm running more than two groups, group 1 could be different to group 2, but it could be the same as group 3. The mean of group 1 and group 3 might not be statistically significantly different, but it might be different from group 2 1. And group 3 and group 4 might be the same, but the different. That is why, folks, we got to run a post hoc test. Dwayne just give you a whole barrel of post hoc tests to run. I just tell my students run Tukey. Got from experience, Tukey is the wash pan test. He's give Bonfiore, and you can read his thing, you can find the correct test to run, but just run Tukey. Because Tukey doesn't fail me. Click post hoc test at the bottom and then click Tukey. Because you know what that does do? That is then go down into all the individual means and show you which ones are statistically similar and which ones are statistically different. So, go down, click post hoc at the bottom. At the bottom, I'll move it to the side. And then click Tukey. They got a gazillion post hoc tests you can run there. Click Tukey. They got Tukey's B. They got whatever. Ask Dwayne for them. Click post hoc test at the side and then click Tukey. So it tells you which of the 3 or more groups have similar or statistically significantly different means. So y'all click Tukey, click OK. When you click Tukey, click OK. And you're going to see test scan done. Now I'm going to tell you something about this table, right? About this test. This is the first test that you got looking first table. With cost of chi-squared, is looking the Pearson chi-squared table. That is the thing. With the t-test, is looking the second table. But you see this table here? The first thing you look at is the first thing that matters because the p-value occurs not in the second table, it occurs in the first. So look back at the first table there for me, darling. Come up. Oh me, oh my. Look on the significance. That SIG does tell that you find p-value. What you see there? 0.875. Do I have support for the null there? Because support is over 0.05. So do I have to look in the other tables? No. There is no statistically significant difference. Okay? Between what? The person's what? Income and how they feel about the customer service. You want to try it with some other, you want to try it now with employment status and industry? Try it. All right, so I'll run this satisfaction with the customer service by run it now by industry. And tell me what you get. Satisfaction with customer service by industry. Because you can only put in one factor at a time, and what is going to go in the factor box? Industry. All right, wait for the others, Miss Ash. Speedy Gonzalez, that is what we call it here. So run customer service by industry. Industry will be the factor. Customer service is the interval, so that is the dependent list. And that is also the test variable in the independent samples t-test. All right, we'll be finding out there, folks. What p-value getting there? What? So, in other words, is there any difference according to the industry with respect to customer service? Oh my, they can't even find one industry that look them better than all the rest. They end up guts. All right, let's try it by what? Employment status. Our manager is more satisfied with the customer service? I don't expect to find the difference, because if I find the difference in income and you find that employment status and income tend to move together, but I don't know. Try. Run customer service by employment status. So they find nothing there at all. Nothing. So all of them are the same. Let me put in another. Let me try opening hours now by income or industry. Some of you do opening hours by industry, and some of you do satisfaction with opening hours by income. Let me see what we get. Opening hours now, so we're changing the dependent. Try opening hours by industry or opening hours by income. Tell me what you get. No. Satisfaction with opening hours by industry, and then some of you try satisfaction with opening hours by income. Satisfaction with opening hours by industry, and then satisfaction with opening hours by income. Just do one. Alright? Anything happening with the income or the satisfaction is the same regardless of whatever income group the person is in. What's the p-value? Income by satisfaction with opening hours. Anybody did income? What is that, Mr. Gittins? Mr. Gittins is telling me that when I look at satisfaction with opening hours, oh shoot, can't even find what a clean way. When I look at satisfaction with opening hours, by what? By who? Income. We are telling me p-value yet, Mr. Gittins? Is there any difference depending on a person's income level with respect to their satisfaction? No. So I can tell you a little saying, right? When you realize there's no difference at all, no matter whichever demographic group that you run, you just go back to your original statistics when you looked at overall satisfaction for everybody. Industry. What does that say? All right. So I only have 1% support for the null, so I'm 99% certain that there's a relationship between the industry a person works in and their satisfaction with opening hours. That means that they got some industries that they don't realize that there's open late, that there's got the people working to the last minute. So it's now time for you to look back up look down actually, say, in the table. Come down. Or shoot, no. Everybody who didn't run industry, go and run industry now quick. Because I want everybody to be looking at the same thing. If you didn't run industry, go and run it now. Run it now, Mr. Gittins, because I remember you ran income. If you didn't run industry, run it now. So I want everybody to be looking at the same thing.
I'm not sure if you have it.
Because then, when you reject the null, you know why you got to look in the other tables? Because you know have to look to find out where the means are statistically significantly different. So everybody has run industry by satisfaction with opening hours. Let me look in table 2 now. Under significance. If you look at the first table, you are seeing manufacturing or commerce cross with tourism and hospitality, cross with finance and banking, cross with education, cross with agriculture. When you come over here now, look on the significance. Look on the significance. When you cross manufacturing and commerce by tourism and hospitality, what is the significance there? 0.033. Is that less than 0.05? Yeah. Yes. What about manufacturing and finance and banking? Are those the same? Yeah. What about manufacturing and education? Are those the same? Yes. But what about manufacturing and agriculture? Different. So I see the patterns beginning to pick up here now. So you can go through all of those boxes and see where you see the difference. Some of them will be repeated. Tell me where all the differences are. So is manufacturing is the same as is the same as who? All right, let me put same, different. Manufacturing is the same as who? The ones that were big. Banking, education. All right, but manufacturing is different to tourism and agriculture. Do you go down through the tables because they will pick out each one and compare it to all the others. Do you see any differences? Other differences? I ain't seeing the other differences. So it's looking to me like manufacturing is the same as banking and education, but it's different to tourism. Now, go down to your table. What are the means? What are the means? Give me the means. What's manufacturing mean? Look on the third table gives you the means. 2.88. The third table gives you the means, 2.88. So the first table tells you if there's a difference. The second table tells you where the differences are. And the third table gives you the means. All right, so manufacturing's mean is 2.88. What are the other? What's banking's? 3 point. What's education? 3.4. What about tourism's? 3.85. And agriculture is what? 3.84. So I know that manufacturing is the same as banking and education, right? But it is different to tourism and agriculture. But when they compare banking to tourism and agriculture, do they see any difference? And when they compare education to tourism and agriculture, do they see any difference? No. So you know what is real, that's really perplex you? Banking and education is the same thing as manufacturing, is in the same group as manufacturing, and is also in the same group as tourism and agriculture. The only really difference is manufacturing and tourism and agriculture. Because when you went down the line and you looked at banking by tourism, the system didn't really see any difference between the mean 3.22 and 3.85. The system didn't really see any difference between the mean of 3.4 and 3.85. The system doesn't see a difference between 3.2 and 2.88 or 3.4, but it sees a difference between 2.88 and these. So, manufacturing is very dissatisfied compared to those two. Because when you went down the table shows you where the differences are. And the only real differences are manufacturing and tourism and agriculture. Manufacturing's mean is quite a bit lower, statistically significantly lower than tourism and agriculture. But banking and education is similar to manufacturing, and banking and education is also similar to tourism and agriculture. Because when you went down, you did not see any more p-values that were 0.05 or less. So the only real difference here is manufacturing and tourism and agriculture. Y'all got that? So come down the second tables and see where the differences are. And then the third table shows you where the means are. Yes. Now think about it for a minute. Why would people in manufacturing be more dissatisfied than those other industries with the opening hours? Why would people in manufacturing be more dissatisfied than the opening hours than the others? Because they got some manufacturing businesses that does run some ignorant shifts.